All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to go on a pretty epic journey through the animal kingdom. From the absolute simplest sponge all the way to, well, us, we're going to uncover the fundamental blueprints that connect every single animal on Earth. So to start, let's just talk about the sheer scale of what we're dealing with.
I mean, the numbers are just staggering. Biologists have described over 1 million distinct species of animals, and that's just what we've found so far. There are countless more out there waiting to be discovered. It is just this vibrant, incredible explosion of different shapes, sizes, and ways of life.
And that just begs the question, right? How in the world do you make sense of all that? How do scientists take this beautiful, chaotic library of life and organize it in a way that actually tells a story, that reveals its secrets and its history? Well, the answer lies in looking for the blueprint.
And here we are. You see, biologists classify animals based on a core set of design principles. You can think of these as the basic architectural rules that govern how an animal is built. And once you understand these rules, all that chaos, it starts to look a lot more like a beautifully organized family tree.
The first, most basic feature we look at is symmetry. It's really just about how an animal's body parts are arranged. Is there a pattern to it, or is it kind of random? This one simple question tells us a whole lot about how an animal lives and moves through its world. So what are the options here? Well, first, you've got asymmetrical animals, like most sponges, which have no real pattern at all. Then there's radial symmetry, like a jellyfish. You can basically slice it like a pizza through the middle any way you want and get two identical halves. And finally, you have bilateral symmetry. This covers a huge range, from flatworms all the way to humans. There's only one way you can slice the body to get two perfect mirror images, a left and a right. And that design, it turns out to be a total game changer for getting around.
Okay, next up in our blueprint are the germinal layers. So when an animal develops as an embryo, it forms these fundamental layers of cells. And these layers are like the raw clay from which every single tissue and organ in the body is eventually going to be sculpted.
And this is where we see a huge, huge split in the evolutionary road. On one side, you have diploblastic animals. They just have two layers, an outer one, the ectoderm, and an inner one, the endoderm. But then you have the triploblastic animals. They have a revolutionary third layer, the mesoderm, sandwiched right in the middle. And this middle layer is what gives rise to things like complex organs and muscles, unlocking just incredible new potential.
And finally, the last big piece of our foundational puzzle is the coelom, or the body cavity. This is basically the internal space between the gut and the outer body wall. Some animals, the acoelomates, don't have one at all. They're just solid tissue. Others, the pseudocoelomates, have a cavity, but it's not fully lined by that super important mesoderm. And then you have us, the coelomates, with a true coelom that's completely wrapped in that mesoderm. Think of this cavity as a crucial innovation. It's like an internal shock absorber that also gives our complex organs the room they need to move and grow.
Okay, so with that blueprint in our heads, let's go meet some of the earliest pioneers. These are life's first drafts, the simplest yet incredibly successful first attempts at being a multicellular animal.
First up, we've got the phylum Porifera. We just call them sponges. Now these guys are about as basic as it gets. They operate at the cellular level, which means they don't even have true tissues or organs. They're basically just a loose collection of specialized cells working together. Their unique canal system lets them filter food out of the water, and then each cell is responsible for digesting its own little meal.
Next, wow, we see a massive leap forward with phylum Cnidaria. That's your jellyfish and corals. We now have the first true tissues, a defined radial symmetry, and those two embryonic germ layers we talked about. They're famous for their stinging cells, the kinetoblasts, and they have what's called a blind sac body plan. That just means food goes in and waste comes out of the exact same opening. It's a brilliant design, but it's limited. To get any more complex, life needed another breakthrough.
And that breakthrough? Well, here it is. Seriously, get ready, because this is a series of innovations that completely changed the course of life on Earth. This is where animal architecture gets a massive, massive upgrade, unlocking the potential for all the crazy complexity we see today.
It all kicks off right here with the arrival of that third germ layer, the mesoderm. This triploblastic plan was the single most important development. I mean, for the first time, animals had the raw material to build true, complex internal organs, powerful muscles, and circulatory systems. Everything changed. You know, once you have muscles, you can start moving with purpose. And that's where bilateral symmetry becomes an absolute superpower. Having a clear front and back, a top and bottom, and a left and right, it let animals move intentionally in one direction. And that, naturally, led to cephalization, the development of a head,
packing all your sensory organs up front to create a command center for an animal on the move.
So, all these new, complex organs, they needed a safe place to live, right? That's the huge advantage of a true coelom. This protected, fluid-filled cavity not only cushions the organs from getting banged around, but it can also act as a kind of water-based skeleton in some animals, allowing for much more sophisticated movement and function.
And last but not least, a huge upgrade to the plumbing system. The tube within a tube body plan introduces a complete digestive tract, with a separate mouth for food to come in and an anus for waste to go out. This one-way street is incredibly efficient. It allows for continuous eating and the evolution of specialized sections for different parts of digestion. So armed with all these amazing new innovations, 2 major animal blueprints just exploded onto the scene, and they became the most successful and widespread designs on the entire planet. These are the undisputed champions of the animal kingdom. In one corner, you've got the arthropods. We're talking insects, crustaceans, spiders, you name it. Their success is just off the charts. They make up over 2/3 of all known animal species. Their winning formula? A tough, protective exoskeleton made of chitin, incredibly versatile jointed legs and wings, and an open circulatory system where blood kind of just sloshes around and bathes the tissues directly.
And in the other corner, you've got our team, the chordates. This is the blueprint for all vertebrates: fish, birds, mammals, us. What brings us all together is that at some point in our lives, we all have a notochord for support, a hollow nerve cord running along our back that becomes our brain and spinal cord, pharyngeal gill slits, and a super efficient closed circulatory system where blood is always contained within vessels. And this just lays it out so clearly, right? 2 totally different solutions to the problem of life. Arthropods built a suit of armor, an external skeleton, with their nerve cord running along their belly. Chordates, on the other hand, opted for an internal skeleton, with our nerve cord protected safely along our back. 2 wildly different approaches, and both led to incredible, world-spanning dominance.
So, wow, after that incredible tour through life's blueprints, we finally circle back to ourselves. And now we can actually see where we fit on this vast, intricate, beautiful map of life.
Because in the end, this system of classification is so much more than just putting things in boxes. It's a roadmap of evolution. It tells the 4-billion-year-old story of how we got here, and it shows us that we are deeply, profoundly connected to every other animal, from the simplest sponge to the mightiest whale.
And you know what? The story is absolutely not over. Not even close. For every species we've named, there are probably so many more we haven't even met yet. Deep in the oceans, high up in the treetops, maybe even right under our feet, new designs and new strategies for life are out there, waiting. It just makes you wonder, what's next?